Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Satarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindu Bhayavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we had the very sad experience of the departure of His Grace Pankajanghri Das Brahmachari yesterday. He left the body around midday here in Mayapur while the devotees were by his side chanting the holy name. So it was sad because we lost the association of such a wonderful devotee. At the same time, it's very glorious because he was not a young man. He was 77 years old. They just celebrated their birthday a couple of weeks ago. So he and his twin brother, Jananivas, they're 77 years old, but they don't look it. They look so young because they're brahmacharis. So Pankajanghri Prabhu was a very happy person. I really admired him. He was so comfortable. I never saw him in anxiety. He never looked depressed or worried. He was always happy, friendly, joyful person. And of course, he loved to tell us Leelas. He wrote the book on Lord Jagannath at Rajapur, and he would always come and speak on the Leela of Lord Jagannath when the devotees came to Rajapur, where the Jagannath Mandir is. And of course, he also, just before he departed, actually, we were doing safari, and one day was on Lord Nrisimha. And so the devotee organizing the safari speakers, he asked Pankajanghri to come in a few days to speak. And he said, well, look, I've just been tested positive for this COVID, so I better speak now. You can just record it now in case anything happens. And so that's what happened. He spoke, he gave a wonderful speech. He spoke all about how Lord Nrisimha came there to Mayapur and the pastimes of Lord Nrisimha. And then right after that, he started getting symptoms for the COVID because he'd been tested negative, he'd been tested positive. So he was, he wasn't well, he had pains in the chest, so they decided to move him to Calcutta, try to do more for him there in Calcutta. So he went to Calcutta, spent time there in the hospital, and decided he wanted to come back to Mayapur. So he came back to Mayapur. It was good. He could leave his body here in Mayapur. So he was a really wonderful devotee. He would every week he would give class Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam every week. And he loved to speak on the pastimes of the Lord. Just recently I heard a pastime from Jananivas Prabhu. He told me how, he said when they grew up, their mother always wanted them to be identical. For many years I could never tell who's Jananivas and who's Pankajanghri. It's only just in this last year that I've been staying here in Mayapur that I've been able to figure out which one is Pankajanghri and which one is Jananivas. But they always looked identical to me. So Jananivas told me when they were young children, mother always made them look identical. But it happened at school that Pankajanghri was the much sharper, much better student. And so the teacher wanted to move Pankajanghri into the top class and keep Jananivas back in the lower class. And when the mother found out, she was just furious. And she came to the school and she yelled at the teachers that, oh, I'm trying to keep these two boys alike and you're separating them. So the teachers got so frightened, they moved Pankajanghri back into the class with Jananivas. So Pankajanghri you could see he's quite a bit different from Janani. He's definitely very bright and alert and jovial also. His classes are also very nice to listen to. We always like to hear him. So it's really a great loss for Mayapur that he's not here. For Jayapataka Maharaj wanted all the Prabhupada disciples to be here for the opening of the temple. Of course, we don't know when that temple is going to open, but anyway, he's another soul who's gone. He's not going to be here. Of course, I'm sure he's gone on for a much better service, that he's been serving Lord Nrisimhadev here. Regularly, I would have him do different pujas and offer tulsi leaves to the lotus feet of Lord Nrisimhadev for our different devotees in China. Our devotees in China, they like very much to get a puja done there. And he was always very cooperative, very willing to do pujas for people. So he had such a nice nature. Nothing was, sometimes people, why are you bothering me? Why are you troubling me? But he was never like that. He was always open, very friendly, very willing to do whatever you wanted. I never pushed anyone. So we're really sad that he left us. At the same time, we're confident that he's gone for a wonderful destination, that his destination, we cannot imagine just where he is or what he will be doing. Maybe he's with Srila Prabhupada, or with Lord Chaitanya, or Lord Nrisimhadev. But definitely, he has a very, very bright future, because he spent nearly 50 years. Actually, Janani joined the movement first, and he joined in India. So Pankajanghri, he joined in London. It was about 1 or 2 years later when he joined in London. And then after he joined, then he came immediately to India. And he came to Mayapur and joined with his brother here in Mayapur. So nearly 50 years he'd been here in Mayapur doing service. And that's really not easy. I remember how Mayapur was in the 1970s. Very simple, very austere. So he'd been through it all. He'd seen everything. And he was still happy to be here in Mayapur. Very, very attached to service here in Mayapur, serving the deities. Every morning we would see him there, morning program, doing different sevas for the deities. So, of course, all the devotees in Mayapur are feeling the loss. At the same time, we remember Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's words. He said that he reasons ill who tells a Vaishnava dies. When thou art living still in sound, the Vaishnava dies to live, and in living spreads the holy name around. So that was Pankajanghri. He really spread the holy name around. He did travel to Europe, Eastern Europe and England, and like that, and go every 5 years for a visa and visit different countries and give wonderful classes. Devotees would be happy to hear him speak, hear all the different pastimes of Lord Jagannath and Lord Nrisimhadev. And of course, he was so much involved. He helped so much with the deity worship course, and then with the Gurukula boys also. He put a lot of energy into making sure the boys in the Gurukul got good training in deity worship. The deity worship course, he was one of the main facilitators. So it's a big loss for Mayapur. At the same time, we're very glad for him that he could go on to a higher destination. Shriman Pankajanghri Das Brahmachari Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.